Have you ever asked yourself, how do I get started in multifamily? Or said, I want to skip single family, RV parks, mobile home parks. I want to skip all of that stuff and just go to the big boy stuff. I see Grant Cardone, Brandon Turner, all these other big boys out there doing big things. And you say, I want to skip the line and get right into multifamily. Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking about all of the ways that you can get started in multifamily. And I need your help. I need you to tell me which one of these line items right here to do a whole nother video and a whole series on, because I think each one of these line items of how to get started into multifamily could be a video by itself. So how do I get started in multifamily? First question you got to ask yourself is, who are you? Where are you at? Are you somebody that's brand new and you're like, I just want to skip single family and I need some active income? Well, if you're somebody that needs some active income, well, let's talk about this. You could make money by raising capital for somebody else's. In fact, you guys could invest your time, your energy into raising capital for my fund, right? Go to invest@subtofund.com and you can go, hey, Pace's team, I want to make active income by raising capital for your fund. You could do that. You can make money by raising capital. The question you got to ask yourself is, do you know how to raise money? Do you know how to get out there? Do you have a brand? Do people believe in you? Do you have track history and all of those types of things to be able to sell somebody? Allie, you're a super smart girl, super professional. If somebody comes to you who's never done a multifamily deal, and they go, hey, would you like to invest in my fund? It's $100,000 minimum investment. What's your first feeling you're gonna say? They've never done a deal, by the way.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So this is a challenge, right? So this is a challenge for a lot of people. If you know how to raise capital, then you can start there. If you know how to raise capital, you already have experience with raising capital, maybe your job that you have now or in previous years, you knew how to raise capital. This is a good place to start. Raise capital for a fund. But if you don't already have pre-existing relationships that believe in you, this is going to be a really hard place to start. So the next place that you would do is go, I'm going to go down and become a fund of funds. What is a fund of funds? Who does not know what a fund of funds is? Okay, Paul, fund of funds. Subto Fund is my fund, right? I own a fund.
Yeah.
Are you going to go out and go find your projects, go find your deals, negotiate your deals, know exactly what you're doing, raise all the money, manage the tenants, collect all the money, pay all the bills, and pay all your investors right out of the get-go, or are you gonna have to learn how to do all that stuff?
You need to learn first.
Okay, so the best thing to do is for you to start a fund that invests in my fund, and you essentially can market yourself as me. You're essentially white labeling my fund as a fund of funds. So you can go around saying, hey, my fund, you can say, hey, my name is Paul, and I invest in multifamily properties that we acquire through creative finance in the Sunbelt states. We currently have 225 doors under management, totaling about $30 million, and we are actively buying $25 million in real estate every single year. You could legitimately say that without lying and saying you are a partner in a fund if your fund was a fund of my fund. That is one of the best hacks to getting into real estate, is starting out by being a fund of funds. Why is this a good hack? Is because my fund, Subto Fund, goes out and finds the deals. You guys go on the other side of that wall. I've got 12 people working on the fund. Guess what those people work for if you're a fund of funds? They also work for you, because your fund invests in my fund, and we're a collaborative thing called a fund of funds, okay? So what's great about this is that you don't have to go get your credibility. You borrow all my credibility. Now I go to Allie and I go, hey, Allie, my name is Pace. I am part of a fund. We have already 300 doors under management. We buy about $25 million of real estate every year. We have over 700 investors that get a monthly check every single month. Here's proof of all the checks. I'm also the largest investor in that fund because I believe in it so much. Would you have some interest in having a conversation of investing with me?
Yes.
Which one would you invest in first? The person that doesn't have any credibility, is out there raising capital, and it's their first fund, or the person that borrowed my fund's credibility? And so if you're gonna start doing a fund, at some point you need to start out as a fund of funds. So that's a good one. I'm new. Now what's great about this on a fund of funds, I get two things. I get active income, I get paid to promote. It's called a promotion fee. I'm promoting the fund. Somebody brings in $1 million, I get paid 30 grand.
3%.
3% typically is a promotion fee. So I promote, those people bring the $1 million into my fund, or let's say right here, you invest $1 million into him. Your fund then wires the $1 million to me, and I give you a check for 30,000 bucks. It would be the same as if he wrote the check to me for $1 million. He gets the same amount of shares. It doesn't diminish his value at all by going through you. You got paid $30,000 to do that. That's pretty gangster. Guess what else you get? You get some equity in the actual fund. You actually get to own part of the property. So you get both equity and today money. So fund of funds is typically the best place for people to start going into multifamily. So as you guys are wholesalers, right here, this is you guys, okay? You boys are wholesalers, lots of relationships. You want to open up to multifamily at some point. Fund of funds would also be a really good place for you guys to start, because it doesn't require you guys to acquire properties, manage properties, deal with the paperwork, deal with any of that kind of stuff. You also, guess what you got to do? If you're a fund of funds of my fund, do you think that I would allow you to go in my office and just sit there and shadow people all day long and go, hey, what are we doing here? How can I use some of the stories inside of this room to go and talk about how I'm a partner in this fund?
Sure.
Do better.
We do it all the time. Not all funds will allow you to do that. I will allow you guys to do that. Pretty cool, right? You live here in Arizona. How dare you not do a fund of funds with me? Because you could go right here in this room with 12 people and go, what do you do? Why are you doing it, et cetera. So what's the third benefit of doing a fund of funds? Learning how a fund is actually operating. How does it make money? What is the payroll cost? What is the culture required? All of those types of things. You get to sit next to do you think I have an underwriter on the other side of that wall that knows more about underwriting than I do? Do I need to know everything? Do you need to know everything if you're a fund of funds? Or can you just borrow the team that I built? Let's say that I'm a busy professional. I lack time. I'll give you a good example. I have a girl named Rashima. Okay, I met her at Clever Summit in Miami last week. She comes up to me in the hallway and she goes, Pace, what should I do? And I go, anything but wholesale. You are anything but wholesale. You're a nice dress. You've got a nice fancy handbag. Like, you do not scream wholesale at all. You scream professional. Let me guess, you're probably an engineer, a doctor, an attorney. But also, the other way I could guess is that everything was decked out. Your makeup, your this, your that, your earrings, your nails, everything was done, except your hair was pulled back in a bun. Which means you're also logical. You go, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can as quickly as I can, and the one thing that's gonna take me 25 minutes before I go down to the ballroom for the event, I'm gonna pull this hair back and I'm gonna make sure that I look okay. That is a busy person that was probably upstairs in their hotel answering emails. You're probably an attorney. She goes, I'm an attorney. I go, you probably also have some cash in the bank, right? She goes, yeah, I do. I go, here's what I would do. Are you ever gonna quit your job? Let me guess, you're not. She goes, no, I'm not gonna quit my job. So, busy professionals have time. I go, how much money do you have? I'm gonna guess you have $500,000 in savings. She says, I do have $500,000 in savings. Okay, so what would I do if I was her is I would take $100,000 and I would invest as an LP into somebody's deal. If I'm an LP of the Subto Fund, I'm a limited partner of the Subto Fund. Jim, do you think I would allow you to come and sit with my team anytime you want?
Yeah.
Okay, here's a great idea. You now can say, I'm a partner at the Subto Fund. I have a podcast where I interview other multifamily operators, and you could create a whole entire multifamily podcast and talk about multifamily all the time and interview everybody else, but you don't have imposter syndrome because you actually own multifamily as an LP, and you can go around with that credibility. Kind of feels good, right? Not only that, but you have a monthly check that comes in from your cash flow. And if I'm an engineer, a doctor, an attorney, especially Rashima, she has a check coming in every single month. Could she not go to all her attorney friends at the firm and go, hey guys, look at this check I get every single month. Hey guys, look at this check I get every single month. She could even visit the property and do a podcast there. She could talk about it. She could put it on her Facebook group. Hey, look, I'm a partner on this 260 such a unit, blah, 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 blah. After about 6 months, what's gonna happen in her firm?
She had more offers.
Everybody's gonna be coming to her going, hey dude, like, how can I do that too? I think if you have the capital, she has money sitting in the bank as a safety net. The inflation monster is eating this money up. So as I told this to her, she goes, can you just take all 500,000? So she writes a check for all 500,000. She invests as an LP. Her next step would be to spend 3, 4, or 5 months building up the credibility in her office. She will then become a fund of funds with me. She'll probably do that once, twice, and then she'll go, I got it. I can go do my own fund. Okay, so sponsor as a QP. This is high level. You're not gonna sponsor as a QP. What's a QP? A QP is a qualifying partner, a qualifying person. That means that, let's say that Allie finds a deal today and she goes, hey Pace, I've got a 100-unit deal in Fountain Hills and I wanna raise money for it. She has the relationships to raise the money, but the bank won't give her a loan because she's never done a big deal like this. And I go, dude, I freaking believe in you. You're a bad. I could be her qualifying party at the bank by just using my name and my credibility and my assets. She could use me as her qualifying party. I then can gain equity. Is this something that new people can do? No, does not. The only person this works for, this is probably the highest level one. Sponsor as a QP, too high level. It is a way to do it, but I see people on YouTube like, oh, you could just sponsor other people's stuff. It's like, no, dude, that's like too high level, over most people's heads, right? Okay, start small. I did this, okay? I leveled up over time. I started with fourplexes. I bought them all on Creative Finance. And I go, dude, we can do this. So when we launched the Subto Fund, we launched the Subto Fund last year. What I did in the Subto Fund is I specifically said, I'm only buying Creative Finance because that's what I do. The beautiful thing is, guess where I started? Single family acquisitions. You'd be surprised at how many, I'd say most people that are in multifamily today, this is where they started. They bought 100 single family properties. They bought 20 single family properties. They then said, I want to upgrade. Do you want to see what happens when you were buying multifamily and here's the conversations that happen behind the scenes? It's scary. The brokers are basically like, what's your blood type? Prove it's your blood type. Cut your body open right now and pour it all over the table to prove it. It's so bad. And I can answer all the questions. Who is the person I'm talking about? The person I'm talking about is the multifamily broker that's representing the seller. So when I'm going and approaching a seller that has a 200 unit deal that I'm asking for them to seller finance me and they have a broker involved, don't you think the broker is gonna go, what does your REO look like? What's an SREO? Your schedule of real estate owned. It's the dumbest acronym ever.
It's because they're stupid, that's why. That's why everybody does everything.
I'm gonna give you a schedule of real estate owned. For new people, they're like, wait, what, a schedule? Like what day and time I show up? No, a schedule, it's basically a spreadsheet of all your properties. Show me your assets. Show me how much money you have. So what I do is I go into these calls and I bring my family office, I bring my net worth sheet, I bring my tax returns, and I bring a schedule of real estate owned. I started small in single family. This is where I think most heavy operators should operate and stay. Now, if you want to skip the line and not do what I did and go, I don't want to build a portfolio of 300 single family homes to get into big multifamily, fund to fund is the best way to do that. You could shave 2 years off your journey, 3 years off your journey, okay? Because now when I'm the one that's going to the broker, you just are raising money for what I did. You're skipping the line. You basically, here's what you did. You said, oh, Pace started small. Pace bought 300 single family properties with Subto and seller finance, and Pace built a brand. So you know what that means? That means Pace did all that for me. That's a fund to fund. But this is what I did. Starting a fund with a team that has experience, this is very high level. This is what I did. I went start small, leveled up over time, started it here, and then I upgraded here. There are people that just go here. Who are these people? They are typically busy professionals that are also bad that already have friends that are doing funds. You have a friend that just did this. Guess what they're doing? Their hardest thing right now is that they don't have a lot of credibility, and so they're trying to raise money because they don't have a brand. So they're going back to you and they're saying, hey, do you want to invest? Right? Okay, and that's not a problem. It's just, this is a challenge because you can't raise all the money. The other thing about a fund of funds, if we go back to the fund of funds, if I'm raising $10 million in my fund, do you have to raise all $10 million?
No.
What? That's crazy. So I could raise like 9.1 million and all you have to do is raise 400 and then they have to raise 500 and we get the whole thing together. So I could have two fund of funds, 500, 400, and you could still participate in that deal? You could still participate in that $50 million deal that I'm raising $10 million for and I'm gonna raise 9.1 million. I raise the majority of the money. They raise the rest, and then you have a little sliver left over at 400. You could do that? That's crazy. Okay, work for a fund. This is really good. Who works for my team that you know? I know, Ali, you know at least one person on my team. Ryan, Ted, a bunch of people. We have 7 people on the team full-time and 5 people not full-time. We have 12 people. I also have people like Bo, who's my portfolio manager, that the longer Bo stays with me, the more percentage of the portfolio he gets. Bo understands his personality. He goes, I just want to work for your fund. You take all the risk. You raise the majority of the money. I'll help run and manage the portfolio. I'll grow, get efficiencies on the bottom line. For that, being here for a long period of time, if I can help the portfolio perform at a certain level, I want a percentage of the equity. Cool. Okay, so you got to understand your personality. That's not you. 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 Most of you guys are not going to want to work for a fund for 10 years to get a sliver of the equity. Here's a guaranteed way to not get into multifamily. Wholesale to multifamily funds. Well, Pace, couldn't you sliver equity? Couldn't I go, hey, I'll sell you this deal if I can get 10% equity. Most multifamily operators that you want to partner with are going to laugh at you and go, I don't need your deal. I have relationships with brokers. It's a very different world than single family. Very, very different world. So here's what I would do. Okay, so for you guys, stay-at-home mom, I have no obligations, no worries, and I have a ton of time, I would go work for a fund. Okay, I would go get a job, get active income, get to know everybody inside the fund, and I would utilize that. Maybe I'd start a podcast or something talking about what does it look like to run a fund. Tons of people would watch this podcast, and I'd probably be able to raise money and I'd be able to work for the fund and do a fund of funds, okay? Busy professional, same thing, fund of funds, wholesaler. Probably here what I would do is I would go to start small. This is probably what I would do with you guys. You could do a fund of funds, but what I would do, guys, is I would start small, what I did, because you're gonna have deal flow, right? Yeah. You're gonna have active income, you're gonna have contractors, you're gonna have all these relationships. So what I would do is, as you guys are finding deals in your market in Arizona, I would buy some 4plexes, some 6plexes, and I would build a little portfolio. And then I would go and say, all right, let's go do a bigger project and let's raise $1 million. Please tell me which one of these videos, raising capital for a fund, investing as an LP, starting small and leveling up over time, which one of these do you want to know more about? I'd love to give you more. We actually have in-person classes. Guys, we're gonna put a description down below so you guys can come into this room and get into some of our in-person classes. We actually have some multifamily classes coming up. We're gonna do 4 full-day multifamily classes back to back to back to back. If you wanna be in person, because YouTube sucks and so does Zoom, I wanna see you here. I wanna smell your breath. And if you guys give us a little subscribe love, you got it in the description below, we'll have a link for the in-person classes. So you guys can be in a room of 100 people in here saying, I wanna learn multifamily too. And I won't be teaching most of the class. I will be having my fund manager, Ted Head, and other people, my partner, Josiah, teaching most of that class. I'll teach you guys how to raise money. Somebody else will teach you how to manage the asset, because miss me with all of that. You know what I'm saying? We'll see you in the next video.